Lebetkin, the Rabbi from another planet. Please like, share, and subscribe, and ring that little bell. Ring the little bell so you're notified when new videos drop. So the answer is 3. The answer is 3. What is the question? What is the question you may be asking? That is a number of episodes it takes to win me over. Okay, this is what I worked out. Cross-referencing data from House of the Dragon and Star Trek Strange New Worlds, right? 3 episodes. I think that's reasonably fair. I feel a bit loosey-goosey and relaxed. It took me about 3 episodes of Strange New Worlds before I went, okay, this isn't shit. Okay, it really did. It took me 3 episodes. And then the 4th episode happened to be a particularly good one, right? I was like, I'm on board. I had that experience with episode 3 of House of the Dragon or House of the Dragon, right? Game of Thrones, House of the Dragon? I don't know. House of the Dragon. But I had both those, it's not shit moment and this is freaking awesome moment on this week's episode. Honestly, they knocked it out the park. Absolutely knocked it out the park, and I'll be a bit of a dick if I didn't admit it, right? Really? I mean, I don't know if Lord of the Rings just makes it look so much better, but boy, Lord of the Rings makes it look so much better. Power of the Rings of Power is just shit. Okay? It's agonizingly bad shit. I can't imagine I'm ever gonna turn that around. Oh man, it's so bad, right? It's so breathtakingly bad. But conversely, House of the Dragon, very, very, very good. So what I like about this episode, honestly, I got into the characters, right? And I talk about this a lot in this episode, in the review, that they came alive this week for me, right? They absolutely did. I started caring about them and relating to them. Plus, they put a ton of freaking money into this, like a ton. I like those dragon effects are gorgeous, like big Game of Thrones-y battles. Generally speaking, very good, very good. There's a little bit of clunky storytelling, right? There was a little bit of clunky storytelling, which was even more clunky because didn't at the end of episode 2, the Rogue Prince, right? You had the Valerian guy who owned all the ships. I don't know anybody's names. Leave me alone. I barely know their names, right? The Valerian guy who owned the fleet. The black guy. I mean, like honestly, the colorblind. I wouldn't say colorblind. No, the multicultural casting does make it easier to point the black guy with the white dreads. That dude, right? When he's talking to Matt Smith at the end of the 2nd episode, and he goes, "Oh, we don't have dragons. We were sea lords." So they contradict that in this episode, and you have no idea what's going on, right? It's never good when I got to read some kind of like review or wiki or something to work out what I actually saw, right? It's not as bad as when Chris Chibnall put out who's the writer of Doctor Who, if you don't know, put out a 15-minute video trying to explain the plot of his last season of Doctor Who. And it still sucked, right? He still did badly there. But it was a bit of clunky storytelling, and it's very noticeable because everything else is fantastic, right? I found the writing and the acting just off the charts good. Really, genuinely very good. Particularly Paddy Considine. Is that his name? Considine? Paddy Considine? The character he developed, which I hadn't noticed before, really came together for me, right? And they had a very, very lovely moment with Rhaenyra. Is that Emma Darcy or is that Millie Alcock? So Teenage Princess Rhaenyra is Millie Alcock. Oh, Alcock. Really? You're in a Game of Thrones show and your last name is Alcock. Really? It's what is it? Is this a like Carry On James Bond thing? Oh, Mrs. Alcock, how are you? I don't know. Or is it Emma Darcy? I have no idea. Very, very good, right? Very, very good in this. Everybody was good in this. This one really for me totally knocks it out of the park and won me over, right? This is now something I'm looking forward to watching. I'm glad to have it. It's much better to be happy with things, right? Generally speaking, it's much better to be happy. I would rather be wrong and be happy with something than write and be miserable, right? Absolutely, it's much better happy. So that's where I am with this. This is a really in-depth recap and review. Let me know if you disagree with my interpretation of things, right? Look, I'm just kind of like, this is what I see, this is what I think is happening. If you disagree, I have no knowledge, right? I've read the first Game of Thrones book, and that is it. And I felt like I did a marathon doing that. So if you know more than me, you know more than me. Good for you. Let me know in the comments. Like, share, subscribe, comment. All those things are very, very, very good. Sign up my Substack. Oh, on my Substack, you know what? I just started serializing. Somebody sent me all the out-of-print Dan Dare strips from the 80s when they relaunched Eagle. Again, if you have no idea what I'm talking about, I feel sorry for you, mate. But they're freaking awesome, right? I see if I can find the Doom Lord. Doom Lord was this really bizarre photo strip. That's a story for another time. I really got to try and find Doom Lord, though. Oh my god, that'd be awesome. But I'm reprinting all the Dan Dare out of print strips because they're out of print. I don't feel like stealing from them because you can't bloody get them. So that's on my Substack. It's free. That's free, and you also let you know about my sparkling content. And then I have my paid Substack, which I put out other content. I put out my comics. I think I might start doing digital trading cards on there, like during like a digital trading card of the month, right? And I think I will make them reasonably cool. And look, it's $5 a month. It's just basically I'm putting my hat out and asking you to throw some coppers in. I should really put up like a little tip jar thing in the comments. I don't really like doing that, honestly. I don't, but I'm very grateful you're here, quite frankly. So like, share, subscribe, comment. Please subscribe. That really, really helps me. YouTube and I are in a pitched battle to see if I can get over 3,500 subscribers. If I had the right politics, it'll be 35,000 now, not 3,500. But we all have to deal with the hands that were given. And I will say, Princess Rhaenyra, not so much in this episode. Not so much at all, which is what we're going to say going in. Like, share, subscribe, comment. Let me know what you think. Sign up my Substack, I'm paying Substack. Fine, we covered everything. Let me hand over to me from last night. I did a live stream last night, and I went over this in detail. I freaking loved it, right? Absolutely loved it. So let me hand over to me from last night. Dun, 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 dun. So I don't know if I like it having the Game of Thrones music, right? I think it really should have its own identity, although it's very much in its universe. It's so strange, though, because it's so tragic that Dan and Dave, when they were on season 3, said we're going to do up to season 5, and then we're burnt out. You got to bring new blood in, right? And they would have done so much better, right? They would have got all their deals. They would have got out. And Game of Thrones probably would have done better with new blood, because this isn't bad. This isn't bad at all. Again, I'm starting to connect to the characters, and I like the sword and sorcery aspect. The dragons are fucking awesome, right? I did like them having more weird magic in Game of Thrones, right? But I would like to bring more of that in. But I'm connected. The most important thing is characters. And Paddy Considine, right? Who is the reason Matt Smith joined the production, because he really likes him, is freaking awesome in this episode, right? Absolutely awesome, right? And I don't know, do I like the titles? I don't know, not really. It irritates me that they're just like, like they're trying to do the same thing, but it just doesn't work, right? House of the Dragon. But I think they should have just done something totally different. This, I think, was a mistake. Fine. So we start off. Okay, yeah. So essentially, if you haven't seen it so far, we got there was a succession issue, and it could have gone to this woman or a bloke. The woman was closer, but male heir is normal, so it went to the male heir. He's a bit weak, right? So then his wife dies in childbirth, not having a son. He names his daughter the heir instead. So what I like about this is how deeply he cares about and loves his family, right? And you really see it here, yeah, and how he's trapped by duty, right? You really do see the weight of his world, or the weight of the world on his shoulders. So anyway, his brother is quite a bit more violent. Matt Smith is his brother. He gets banished to wherever, the Vale, but he goes to Dragonstone and sets up there. At the same time, you got this this really quite cool villain you don't know anything about, and I wouldn't mind like reading more about him or seeing a comic book or something about him. The crab feeder, who's like capturing all these boats by this other Target. They have two Targaryen, the Valerian families. You got the Targaryens and whoever they are, right? The other ones are black, right? But who gives a shit? And he owns the fleet, and his fleet keep getting pirated, right? Ripped off, and then they kill everybody on board by nailing them to the beach and having crabs eat them. So this guy's called the Crab Feeder. He's on this place called the Steps. The king's too weak to do anything about it, so he goes to Matt Smith, who has a dragon, and says, somebody should do something about it, because they're vying for who should be king, because he's got he has a stronger succession claim, or as strong as his daughter. So anyway, so he enters into this war against the Crab Feeder to make his right succession stronger, essentially, right? So that's the banner of the Valerian family, and there's another boat being killed. This is the Crab Feeder. I like this villain. Really interesting and creepy. And he's like hammering some of his hand to a mast, right? Saying, and the crabs are going to eat his face, right? And it's really very Game of Thrones. And you hear like in the background, and whoosh, out comes the dragon, right? They are not skimping on the dragons. We get plenty of freaking dragons in this. Whoa, lots of dragon action, right? And that's basically what the viewer base is like right now. Like, it really is. It's like, fuck me. This is what you promised me all the way through the first 5 seasons of Game of Thrones when it was good, right? All the good dragons and stuff like that. Yeah, you're going to see him. He's like, yo, yeah, Prince Daemon, come rescue me, right? And then, he's like, dragon's like incinerating all the crab eaters. And then he's like, yeah, come rescue me. And the dragon lands on him, push, and kills him. And then staggers off. And again, these dragon shots are freaking awesome, right? They have 2 incredible battle sequences, in this week's episode. But again, loving the dragons. They're very cool, right? So thing is, this the Crab Feeder, he has these caves, and essentially they're impermeable from dragonfire, so he can stand there forever, right? And they keep like blasting it, and then he gets the archers start firing all these like flaming arrows at him, and the dragon gets freaked out and he's got to go, right? So it's not going well, right? It's not like in Game of Thrones when the dragon showed up eventually in season 7, right, doing stuff. Which was awesome. That was the best bit. Was it season 6 or 7? Can't remember, right? But when they first showed up with I think made it to Westeros, across the Narrow Sea, they're a little bit more mundane than that, which is a bit like, I like that they're circumvented. Anyway, meanwhile, the king is having a big feast. It's his so fine. His wife dies in childbirth, right? He keeps pushing his wife to have more kids because he's had this vision that he's going to have a male heir, right? He's had this vision, and he does have a male heir with his wife, but she dies in childbirth. That pissed me off. That put me off with this whole season, because it was a Roe v. Wade analogy of he basically has a C-section against the will and is killed, right? It's an analogy for not being allowed to have an abortion. It's a very poor analogy. But anyway, so that thing really soured me on this series, and they were schmucks for putting it in, right? In fact, they could, if they just have left that out, it would have been the feminism you have in it would have been equal to the Game of Thrones of old, right? Putting that in pushed it over the edge, unfortunately. So anyway, so she dies in childbirth, And so he ends up marrying. He has to marry again. And one of the reasons, he ends up marrying his the hand of the king's daughter, which is his daughter's friend, who's reasonably hot. She's supposed to be hot in it. So now it's 3 years. It's a few years later. She's heavily pregnant, and it's the second birthday of a son that they had. Right. So this is a tough position that he's in. That takes you through this whole episode. That everybody's expecting. Now he has a male heir. He's expecting to name the baby the heir, and screw off to his daughter. And you see his inner turmoil because he had all the pressures in the world trying to get him to do that. And he doesn't want to do it. He's given his word, right? He's chosen his daughter, right? He wants to have integrity. I like that about this character. And you see him being pushed and prodded and miserable, right? The king is miserable because he's trying to do his duty, right? But like this is like one of those few happy times. He's enjoying having a family again, right? He's enjoying this second lease on life. We're going to see his more about his marriage soon, and it's really sweet, right? It was creepy. Now, because he put it in like Game of Thrones setting, it's really quite sweet, and I like it, right? So it's his name day, and they're like, "Oh, he's going to be great." So they're talking about naming him successor. That's the Lannister. We're going to see more Lannister this week, right? I think it's Lannister, is it? It looks like him. Anyway, so he's wearing a Lannister crest. So he said, "Look, we got urgent news about the war, right?" So the storytelling is weak in this, in several places. This is one. We got urgent news, and he's like, "Look, it's the kid's name day. Fuck off, right? It can wait." And he's like, "No, it's very urgent." It's like it's this war. So now we find out the war's been going on for 3 years. That Matt Smith. Daemon Targaryen has been fighting this war and losing against the Crab Fever for 3 years, right? So he's like, I want to enjoy this. Leave me alone, right? And they keep pestering him out, and he's just like, just shut the fuck up and leave me alone, right? That's basically just leave. We're going hunting, and that's it. And he wants his daughter. Like, where's Rhaenyra? The daughter that he has named there and is going through so much grief for, right? I so relate to this guy, right? I really do, right? This is what being a parent is like, right? Like, that expression is him this episode, and he really carries it. He really nails it, right? With grace and dignity, like with regal grace and dignity, but he brings a real realism to it. Right, he's like saying it's been 3 years. You can wait another 3 fucking days. And this is the first inkling you get that his young wife, who's like 20 years younger than him, and he didn't really want to marry, but it was his duty, right? You get an inkling of the genuine affection they built up. They've had 2 kids now, or she's pregnant with the second kid. The genuine affection they built up for each other, and she cares about him and she wants to protect him. This is archetype. Look, I bless you all to have good marriages, but like why good wives, right? Well, if you want to are always protect, and also good husbands, right? Wives and husbands are protective of each other. She's worried about him, right? And see, looking at this back now, and I find this very sweet. Meanwhile, so he wants his daughter, and he's pissed off his daughter's not there, and so she's got like the lute player out by the the tree with the red leaves thing. Like playing like he's on shuffle, right? He's playing it while she reads, and she is just a bitch and in a steaming mood, for most of this. Like she's fucked off that her best friend has become her mother, right? Essentially, and their father's moved on and remarried, and like her life is basically not her own, right? So she's just rebelling big time. So he says, okay, start playing again. So a friend shows up and said, look, your father wants you. And she tells the lute player to keep playing. And she's like, the queen orders you to leave. And the guy's like, I gotta go. It's like, why are we like this? We don't have to be like this. And I find everybody in this authentic, right? I find it genuine. Again, yeah, which is why this is why one we owe. It took them 2 weeks to get over that stupid C-section, right? Which was making an idiot point. So anyway, like I said, fine, if you order me to go, I got to go. So they're going off on this hunt. And again, look, he just wants to be nice to her, right? And she's just like, pissy, cunt face, pissy. He's like, she'd be traveling in this thing. So I'll be fine. And so, yeah, so look, being pregnant is not so bad. You know, it's all worth it in the end. And he's like, well, and as far as like, well, you should really be pregnant. She's like, fuck off, leave me alone. Like, she's a stroppy teenager. Oh, God, she's a nightmare in this, right? And I've had exactly the same relationship and resolution with my own daughter, my youngest daughter, anyway, with this. So they get out, everybody claps. Oh, the king! There, he's there on the hunt for his son's second name day, right? Which is basically that means he's weaned, I think, right? So she goes in and she's scared. She's fucked off as anything, right? And people talking at the party chatter. He's like, hey, nonny. Meanwhile, the women are sat talking, and basically the thing it called is this old woman who speaks the mind says, listen, Damon is in this war with the crab feeder and losing. The crab is like, well, that's his war. It's nothing to do with the crown. So the crown is in the bloody war, whether they like it or not. Damon's dragged them in, right? They have to join, right? Are you going to talk sense to your father? And he's like, yeah, my father keeps his own counsel. So she goes outside. Oh yeah. So this is a great scene. Lannister, right? It was a great Lannister. I liked this Lannister. He offers her wine. He's very imperious. Like, come get wine. Says yeah. So you have to come and see Castle Rock. It's beautiful. It's high up. That's fantastic. We don't have any dragon pits, but I have the wealth to build them because we are very, very rich. That's Lannisters. So, well, why would you need a dragon pit? Well, for when you will become my wife, of course. And she's like, what? She like storms off. And they have a reasonably public blazing row. Said, I've tried to talk to you about this over and over again. You're of age to get married. It's your responsibility. And they're like, so you only find out in the end what a bloody problem is. Right, but they do. They have this like, look at this blazing row in public, right? And they neither of them want to be doing this, right? And again, I like the concern that his young wife is showing for him. You know why? Because it's gone away from the perviness now, and I see that they developed a genuine bond, which is, and the bond is going to be weird because he's 25 years bloody older and the king, right? He's that's got to make it a little strained, right? So she storms out, and he's not happy. And the king's like, yeah, you want to not be doing this here. So she goes, grabs a horse and rides off, and the captain's got to go riding off with them. It seems like they're sending them off for them having a fling, these two. I don't know. That seems where they're going. So he pulls them back before he jumps in the water, and she's like, how dare you try and marry me off to Lannister? It's terrible. How dare he, right? And he's like, do you want me to go and kill him? Which was a very good icebreaker. and he's like, yeah, no, it's okay. So again, yeah, these two start developing. Again, it looks like they're going to end up sleeping with each other. Meanwhile, at the hunt, a giant stag's been spotted, and they say, look, this is a great portent. Before dragons came, the stag was the sign of royalty. If you're able to slay a stag on your son's second name day, because everybody's expecting him to name his son the heir, and he is fucked off by this. Not this pressure. He's like, I named my daughter, right? That was my choice, and I didn't zip it off and zip it on, right? And he's like, doesn't want to change. So they basically tell him about it, and he's drinking, and Lannister comes up to see him. And he looks over at his son. He's so torn, right? Because he doesn't know if he's right. He doesn't know if he's made the right decision, but he feels like he should do the right thing. He should be He should keep his word, right? He's a real struggle, be honorable. Meanwhile, Lannister has made this expensive lance thing. He says, "For you to kill the stag, my lord," right? And then I promise you, your daughter will be kept well in my house. I will look after it. It'll be a very good compensation for a drop in station. He's like, what drop-in station is that, right? Who are you? And like he's got this like real menacing, like, who are you to presume that I'm going to change the air? So look, that's actually treason. Have you heard treason in your realm, right? And he knows he's one step away from getting his head cut off, right? And again, he just increasingly pissed off, and this turmoil sells a freaking whole show to me. Has sold this character to me now. He's now a completely revitalized character. And again, having to smile even though he wants to kill people, right? And he has the ability to do so. Is you see that he has absolute power, and he's also absolutely powerless, right? And that's his struggle. And he just wants everybody to be happy. That's really what he wants, right? And you see that's like the change of expression. So anyway, the Hand the King comes up now and says, "Okay, I think I have a solution for you, right? Aerys asking you if you're going to name your son the heir, over the daughter, and who's going to marry Rhaenyra, your daughter, right? I think I've got a solution for you. You should betroth Rhaenyra to your 2-year-old son." He's like, "But he's 2." He's like, he'll grow up, but it will end. By the time he's of age, it'll be fine, and it will end the it'll take all the pressure off. I mean, essentially, what's going on? He wants to make sure his grandson ends up on the throne, right? But that's really his motivation. Like, he's 2. Like, okay, can you just piss off and leave me alone about this, right? And I love the framing of this, how he wants to be left alone, how he is alone, right? And he's drinking more, he's getting more and more drunk as he goes along. And again, what I'll do, like these looks of concern from his wife, right, as he drinks. And then his other advisor, comes along, and he says, "Look, we haven't heard from your daughter who's run off yet. She's with the King's Guard. They're going to be fine. No need to worry." And he's like, "Would you like to know what my solution is to your the dilemma of your daughter?" He's like, "Well, let me guess, right? You think your son should marry her?" Like I said, no, it's actually not really true. I think the Black Targaryen guy son should marry him. Thus uniting the 2 Valyrian houses. They'll make you much stronger. And he's like, "Okay, that's actually not a bad idea. Leave me alone, though." And he storms out. To get some. Meanwhile, Rhaenyra is hanging out and brooding and just being a teenage cunt, right? A broody teenage cunt the whole time. They hear a sound in the forest. He goes out to check, pulls out his sword, and suddenly this boar like charges him, right? Passes over and starts mauling her, right? And he comes and stabs her in the back. But then it wakes up again, and then she goes on this frenzy of just stabbing it over and over again, and she's getting all this like tension out, right? But I thought it was a strong scene. So he's very tormented. He's drunk. He's by the fire, and his wife says, "Well, what's wrong, my king?" And he basically says, and then she says, like, "Viserys." I like it when he goes from my king to calling him Viserys, right? They're genuine. Well, they've had sex with each other. They've had a baby. It creates a bond, right? The joy of that, the shared emotion of that creates a bond, and they deliver it realistically, right? And I do like this a lot. So he's torn apart. He's tormented because he said he had this vision one time of having a son, right? And he's like racked with guilt because he feels like he pushed his first wife into doing that too many times, then she died from it. So he's racked with guilt with that, but he's also racked with guilt that he doesn't know if he's made the right choice. He said, "Look, when I made my daughter the heir, I didn't know I'll get married again. I couldn't even imagine that. I made her the heir to protect it from Matt Smith, right? I never imagined having a son. I never imagined getting married. Now I have, so he's torn. He doesn't know if he's made the right choice, and he feels again he's torn for the empire, for the kingdom, right? He's torn for like what is the right thing for the kingdom. The succession is stronger with the boy. He'd given his word to his daughter, and he feels like he's betraying his dead wife. I think to a certain extent by naming her heir, it somehow rectifies her dying, right? But yeah, this just admission of doubt, right? It's so intimate, right? It's so genuinely intimate. I found it very, very sweet and touching and genuine, right? As I said, this episode very much has won me over. Okay, next morning they wake up, right, and they caught the stag, and this is a great scene. Actually, there's a great scene that goes with this, right? They caught the stag, and he's hungover, he's not happy, and he sees the stag, and they're holding him, and it's a beautiful stag, this beautiful animal, and they've got him on ropes on both his horns, and he can't escape, right? He's got it, and that's who he feels he is. He looks at the stag, and I think he sees himself, right? He doesn't want to kill this stag, this beautiful animal. Right, he wants to let it go, right? But he has a duty. He has to do his duty, and that's the thing that's crushing him right now, right? And again, look at this performance. You see that entire story just in this body language, in this look, in this dread. It's fantastic. It really is. It's absolutely standout. And again, the obsequious Lannister goes, "Oh, for the kill, my lord," right? And so he goes and just stab him right there. He has to do it, and he does, and the animal screams. And he hates himself as he's doing it, right? He just feels it wrong, and then he's doing goes, "My lord, just one more time, slightly to the left," right? And finally, he's killed it, right? And you get it. He's hungover. He's not happy. He's torn. And by doing it, he's somewhat indicating that he's making his son's claim to the throne stronger, right? Which he just doesn't want to do. He feels it's being disloyal. So anyway, meanwhile, his daughter says, "I think it's time to go home." They're covered in blood. Yeah, they're about to go. And they see another stag, right? So the king, the person with us is going to try and kill it. He says, "No, let it go." Right, and I do think that's symbolic of something, and I don't know what. Right, I think it's it means something like he's trapped by the crown while she's going to be more fluid with it. Right, I think that's the ultimate symbolism. But again, I like that I'm thinking about this. Right, I like thinking about it. Anyway, she turns up, she brings back the boar, and it was like, and she's covered in blood, not looking very good. And like turning heads, right? It was like, what the hell? And people laugh when they see it, like, really? And they head back to King's Landing. So then we get a reasonably creepy scene with the Hand of the King and his daughter, who and basically he's like, the only person who's ever going to be accepted as the crown is your son, right? It's the male heir. It's really the only option. You're going to need to talk to the king to make sure he sees that, right? So then again, and this is why I like this relationship, right? This is why I think this is strong. I think also very authentic and realistic. She goes to talk to him, right? And instead, she doesn't talk to him about that, right? She talks to him about. She doesn't do what her father wants because I think her first loyalty is to him, which is right, which is problem. So he's torn about what to do with his brother, right? Matt Smith on the steps, right? He's like, he started this war. I don't want anything to do with it. And he just like pulled me into it. It's as we Jews say, a chutzpah, right? It's a bloody chutzpah. Why should I do anything? And I like, I feel like whatever I do, I'm pissing somebody off. It's tormenting. It's making me insane. So she has a really good bit of advice. It says, would the kingdom be stronger with the crab lord, the crab feeder, keeping the steps, or with him being destroyed? Right, and it really moves it. Right, I think you can see him appreciating the council, and it comes from an interesting a place that he wasn't expecting. So anyway, great scene, another great scene, fantastic episode. Right, this episode just continually knocks it out the park. He's right. He writes it to Matt Smith. David Targaryen says, "Deliver it to his hand immediately." He's like, "Once, my lord." Right. So in walks his daughter, and she's all pissy. She's like, and she's like, "How dare you try and marry me off to Lannister?" It's like, oh yeah. He said, "Look, I'm sending aid to Daemon on the steps to fight the crab feeder." He's like, "What do you think?" He said, "Well, what I think doesn't matter anymore, right? It just doesn't matter." It's like, no, it does matter. I tried to marry off. So I tried to marry off to help you. Right, this is like, will you not be helped? Right, again, great performance, great writing. Right, and the dialogue, it sparkles, absolutely sparkles. And this isn't the high spot of the episode. The high spot of the episode is the last 15 minutes. It's fucking awesome, right? All this is just very good television. Anyway, so yes, I'm trying. I thought you might want. Well, you have to marry. Right, we don't get a choice. And she's like, you would have married what's the name? He was put together with the 12-year-old with the 12-year-old daughter of the guy with the ships last week, and instead he married the Hand of the King's daughter, Hightower. And he's like, yes, that's true. I would do that because it's my duty, right? It's like, there's no point, okay? You're gonna name my brother anyway, and you're just trying to marry me off to get a fleet of ships or a warm water pool or something, right? I'm just property right now, right? And they have this great scene, and this genuine paternal love, and I really love this, right? He's like, you've misjudged me, right? I'm not going to live forever. I want you to be happy, right? I want you to be contented, right? I didn't name you as a whim to be the heir, right? I named you because I wanted you to be the heir, and I think it's the right thing to do. Find whoever you want. Find who your heart likes. But like, you need to marry, otherwise you will lose the crown, right? Make your claim stronger by marrying and having children, right? That you have to marry strategically. You knew that all your life. There's not been a hidden view. And it's a really, I think, really beautiful scene between the two of them, right? And she's moved to tears, and it's and I was too, right? I've had a similar blowout with my daughter, so I found this very realistic. Anyway, meanwhile, back at the steps with Matt Smith, right? He's like, you see the ships are being fired on from the caves. And the dragon keeps firing, but the dragon just can't reach them. They basically need army to go in there, right? And it's not going well. It's a losing battle, right? The mercenaries have gone. So this is a weak piece of storytelling, right? Really annoys me. They should really mention this bloke over here has a dragon, right? And I think he hasn't flown it before. That was the vibe I got, but I only found that out after putting together this review, right? So apparently he has a dragon, even though he's not a Targaryen, he's a Valyrian. So they have a dragon, which really is annoying because in the previous bloody episode, they explicitly said they don't have any dragons, right? So it's just a really clumsy piece of storytelling, which really it really stands out because Everything else is pretty darn good. So this is where the money of the episode went. So they're talking about mutiny. So look, if you can't pull it out, we got to just leave, right? Then Damon turns up. The dragon effects are so good, right? Yeah, he says, "Listen, you can't talk mutiny. I will have your throat cut." Right? It is not going to happen. Damon walks in, and they're like, "It's a lose." They know they're losing, and they don't know what to. Right, and it looks like there's going to be mutiny. And right then, and again, this is wild. This whole thing. The message arrives from the king, the brother. Right, and he reads it, and he's like, "Here," hands it back, and then he beats the messenger like repeatedly, because he won. This was his war to win, and now he's lost it, and needs his brother to bail him out. His claim has now been demolished. Right, it's very, very, very weakened. Right, so they have this plan. Earlier that they could attack if they have somebody who can lure out the crab feeder and his armies. Right? Is there some prize there? Right? And they were talking about it being him, but they never explained the plan to him. Right? So you hear over voice over the note. The nicest bloody note ever, said my brother. I'm sorry that we've been estranged. I'm sending you, all these troops to, and it's actually good to say, I'm sorry that you have had trouble defeating the crab feeder, that we have had trouble defeating him. So he reads it, and Matt Smith rows over to the crab feeder's beach, his camp, right? And again, it's really good. This must be where we saw a bunch of the locations stills that when they're making this. And he walks over there and he waves a flag of surrender, right? You go, what the hell's going on? And you think, what? He would rather die. He would rather die than be saved by his brother, right? Or maybe I was thinking, does he want to be captured, right? And then have to be rescued by his brother or so? I can't remember. This was very strange, right? So he's surrendering. He pulls out his sword and offers it to them, right? And they're like, well, what's going on? So they have all these archers trained on him, right? It's like it looks bad, right? It looks bad, and he hands over his sword, defeated, literally a defeated man. And I love this. How did this villain get to be so weird and creepy? Very good villain. I wish we had a little bit more insight into him, though, right? In the original Game of Thrones, we probably would have done, right? We would have had a few scenes about how he became the crab feeder. And then he leaps into action, right? Awesome action sequence goes, and he stabs him right in the heart, and he plows through all these soldiers, and it goes on for a while, right? He over and over again, wave after wave. He just walks through them, and he knows to do what who was it? Bran? Who's the one that was killed by the bloke from Misfits when he kept firing the arrows as he's going to Jon Snow? We know one, right? When that scene is saying, if he's firing arrows at you, just zigzag, baby, right? That's how you do it, right? So basically, that's what Matt Smith does, right? And they're firing arrow after arrow after arrow, and there's wave after wave of soldiers going, and he keeps just hacking his way through them, right? And it doesn't seem uncredible. It seems like it's working, right? Again, great, really. I think it was him doing the fighting. It looked like it to me. Maybe not. I can't tell, but it was very good, right? And then another wave of archers, and they fire at him, right? And just miss him. And the crab feeders keep sending out wave after wave of soldier against him, right? And then he keeps hacking them, hacking through them. More enemy soldiers, a lot more enemy soldiers, and cutting throats, as you do. And then finally, a few arrows get him, and he makes it over to the structure that essentially protects him from the arrows. The crab feeder keeps looking up and going, "Oh, what's going on with this?" And he keeps sending him more. Now he sends like more waves in to get Matt Smith. Again, they must have spent a fortune on this segment, right? I mean, there's real money spent here. Yeah. Look, you see the full army like start to charge in, all after one person, right? And again, great heroic moment. He lifts up his sword, and you think, wow, are they going to write Matt Smith out on episode 3? I could kind of see them doing it, right? I could kind of see them doing it. It's a Game of Thronesy type of thing to do. I think the show would probably suck without him. You have to introduce a new character, and he gets ready for this like incredible battle, right? Right, just then, what was it the Valyrian guy with the ships? Their army arrives, and you see he's like the sacrifice to pour everybody out, right? So you kind of realize that he can't let his brother save him. Even if it means his life, they need to win this war, and he's willing to sacrifice himself. He would rather die and win than need to be bailed out. He wants it over before his brother gets there. And just about their attack, a dragon comes in and incinerates the troops. Now I assumed this was Damon's dragon being ridden by somebody else. I had no idea who. Right, so apparently no. This is. Again, I can't even see who he is. It's so annoying. You could have set up he had a dragon, right? Or something like it didn't make any. There could have been something you could have. Matt Smith is Viggo the Carpathian. He does look like that, doesn't he? Right? Okay, clunky bit of storytelling over. Now we just get awesome battle sequence, right? And money is spent on this. Incredible, right? Incredible. And the army attacks. Dragon comes in and takes out their archers, and yes, great. It was only for a few minutes, but man, what a great battle sequence. So he's looking around for the crab feeder, and you can just see him through there as he goes back into the cave. He's like, right, I'm after him then. As hack slash battle goes on for a long time. A few minutes. I got a lot of screen grabs because it was pretty darn cool. And the dragon, it's great, but the dragon flies down and just grabs a few people and lifts them up and throws them from the ground. Again, I have no idea who he is or if this is his first time flying a dragon. There's a lot they could have done. They could have done like a YouTube mini episode about him or something. They could do the same thing with a crab feeder. Right, there's a lot more expanded media they could do with these characters, which I think that they're rebuilding it, right? But I think they're missing a trick, right? I really do. I think a 5-minute video on both these people would have significantly helped, right? But yeah, look, they ain't skimping. They ain't skimping on this budget. 20 million well spent, unlike 1 billion. That Amazon did, yeah, but there's still more. So anyway, Matt Smith has chased him in. He's dragging something out. Great shot, by the way. I think very iconic shots. He drags him out, and there's only like half of him left. Right, this crab feeder, and he's covered in blood. And yay! Dun 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 dun. And I think the crown is reunified again somewhat. This episode, other than the clunky storytelling and a couple of points, had everything for me. I loved the character drama, right? The character drama of Rhaenyra and Viserys, her father. I love the character drama of Viserys and his wife, Alicent Hightower. I thought that was really, really sweet, right? And I like getting to know a bit of inner tone of Viserys more, and I do like his strength of character, right? His genuine earnestness, right? All these things I think were very good, right? I think. Excellent, right? And so that all that stuff was great. Production value is fantastic. Battle sequence is just off the freaking charts. I like the politics. It took me a couple of weeks to get over the Roe v. Wade nonsense. Steer clear of current day politics, and you'll be fine, right? And after a season or two, we may forget Game of Thrones. Okay, this is pretty. This was as good as TV as you could, as one could hope for. Frankly, I do wish they would renew Raised by Wolves. I'm sad that's gone, but this is worth the 20 mil an episode, right? Yeah, please more like this. Very well done, HBO. Very well done. Go to the top of the class. My name's Tzvi Lebetkin, the Rabbi from another planet. Please like, share, and subscribe, and ring that little bell. Ring the little bell so you're notified when new videos drop.